And me and the boys are spending some time over at my parents' house, and my youngest son, who is 4 years old, has decided that he is actually the Tasmanian devil. And over the course of a handful of hours that we spent over at my parents' house, he managed to break a glass hanging LED patio light thing, one of those gazing spheres that Midwesterners have in their gardens that are just like shiny reflective globes, um, a cuckoo clock that was a gift from the Black Forest in Germany, a lamp in the front room that he's really been trying to break for a couple of weeks. So he finally got a hold of that thing. Trying to think if there was anything in the dining room that went down. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time this week fixing and repairing things that the 4-year-old has busted, and now you've had a happy look into the last 5 days of TJ's life.
Well, we're glad you're here, TJ.
I am indeed.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 158 of Sawdust Talk. Tonight we're joined with Dad Crafted, Grant, and we are going to talk all about him and what he's got going on as soon as TJ runs through our sponsors.
Good deal. So first and foremost, every week we thank Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep Sanding Systems for their support of the channel. There is a handful of choices in the market for sanders and abrasives, and I'm not saying that it should weigh heavy on your heart, but I do want you to know that if you could choose Surf Prep, you should choose Surf Prep. What a fine instrument of wood smoothing and making sure that your projects have the best finish. If you need slick wood, check out Surf Prep. And if you're shopping at Surf Prep, you can use coupon code Sawdust Talk to save some money while you're there. We also need to remind everyone that if you're interested in Sawdust Talk merchandise, you can head over to kcbombshell.com and get a lovely, luxurious not surf prep, well, maybe a surf prep shirt, but definitely can get a Sawdust Talk shirt over there. It's good times, and the proceeds help us a little bit here and there. Also, we've got to talk briefly about Makers for St. Jude now, and we will talk more about Makers for St. Jude later. But we, every year for this is our third year, I've partnered up with Mike over at Makers for St. Jude and Woodworker versus Cancer to work with the woodworking communities of YouTube and Instagram to create raffles to raise money to help fight childhood cancer, which sucks. This is why we have our guest on tonight, in addition to him being an absolute rock star. But if you want to get involved, if you have extra work, or if you want to help fight childhood cancer, get a hold of me, get a hold of Jessie, get a hold of Mike at Woodworker versus Cancer. Heck, reach out to the team at Surf Prep. They'll get you pointed in the right direction. We'll get a raffle going, and you can let the cool stuff that you make do cool stuff for people who need your help. Also, we have a little Patreon. Little itty bitty Patreon for the channel for as little as $5 a month, which is less than a double whopper. It's less than a double whopper. You could support this channel, help Jessie get some slightly better gear, but it also really helps us with getting to the maker meetups and seeing you guys in person and giving you the high fives that I know you all desperately want. So if you swing by Patreon/Sawdust Talk and decide to join up, we would appreciate that greatly. Did I miss anything?
I think you got it all. We'll talk about St. Jude stuff. And first of all, in the pre-show, Grant, you were talking a little bit about your past life, your past job. So tell us, how did you get to here and everything you do today?
Oh, we don't want to talk about that thing, do we? No, I've Dad Crafted is my channel that I run. I started it like 6 years ago, I think. Just as kind of like a reason to get into the garage and make stuff. So I have twin boys, love being a dad, pretty cool. And it just, I've fully tried to indoctrinate them into Star Wars and Marvel and the nerd stuff that I like. So we try to make things like that and, video game projects. I've kind of evolved over time, but
Keep going.
well, one of them's going to join the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Running by me right behind. Apparently we're taking it. I'm in my shop, so we're taking out the
you're good.
garbage. But anyway, yeah. 6 years, Dad crafted. We make random stuff. I swear I used to do more woodworking. That's kind of what I started out with mainly, but then got more into 3D printing as time went on, and laser. I own a few lasers now, and try to make all the nerdy stuff I can with all those things.
That's perfect, man. So you're trying to tell me that you are a Marvel and Star Wars family and not a DC and Trek family? Is that what's going on?
That's pretty much the gist. I mean, I don't have anything against DC or Star Trek, but it's just not really my thing.
That's okay. We're the same family over here. My wife secretly is into Star Trek, but we let it slide. She's pretty nice.
It's all right.
I don't think my kids have ever watched Star Wars, but I grew up watching Star Wars.
Well, you got to get them started. I mean,
I know. It's just like waiting for the right time. Sometimes I introduce them to older movies, and this week I was asked if I would watch Old Yeller with them, and I was like, "That sounds sad." You want to try something a little more like fun?
Yeah, I mean, I've been showing them, like, we started with like Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels cartoons and stuff, but I don't even remember like the first time that they ever probably watched Empire and got the whole Luke, I'm your father line. Like, I know that people have done that where they try to watch in order and then they film their kid like being shocked at the revelations, but I don't even remember the first time that they ever watched any of these things. But I do know that like when they were really little, that we had a DVD player in the back of the car and we put on like Return of the Jedi, and I think they watched it for like literally probably like all the way to Texas from Iowa. So
Nice.
Just on repeat over and over again.
Yeah. No, when my son was an infant, I had to indoctrinate him with Conan the Barbarian, little Arnold, so I could teach him what was truly best in life. I got in trouble for that, but it was worth it.
That's
James Earl Jones turning into a cobra. I mean, like you just, it doesn't get better.
That's the funny thing now. It's like you worry about like, should I let my kids watch this? They think they're old enough. And I'm like, I had an older brother and my dad was a lot older and did not really care what we watched at all. So, I mean, having an older brother that's 4 years older than you, like I was watching Conan when I was like 5 years old. I mean,
yeah,
beheadings and his head rolling down the stairs. Like,
yeah. I mean, it was the 80s. Who was looking, right?
Yeah, it didn't matter.
So a serious question though, for Star Wars fans that have kids that are gonna watch the movies, do you start them at the halfway point and then go back?
I still would. I would still start at 4. I mean, I think it'd be neat. I get the concept of, there's some people I've heard that like they start at 1 and then their kids are like really love Obi-Wan, and then when you get to episode 4 and Obi-Wan turns into nothing, it's pretty emotional, I've heard. But like, again, my kids, I don't even know what order we watched it in, but I've tried to get them to, we've watched every new show and everything. Like we watch all that stuff. And again, try to incorporate into making, like we've made droids and Mandalorian armor and stuff like that. Like we 3D printed a set of Mandalorian armor for one of my kids for Halloween a few years back. And yeah.
So you have a big printer.
I do have, I don't want to speak disparagingly of a company, I shouldn't, but I do have one big printer that's an Elegoo that I'm not the biggest fan of, and it's currently like dead, and I just haven't put any time towards fixing it. But most everything I print, I have 2 bamboo printers. I have a P1P and an A1, and I have the AMS that prints multicolor for both. But before I got into like what I'm doing for like the Maker's Free Straight and Jude raffle with the multicolor prints and the Marvel corner boxes, before I did that, it was mostly I was doing Star Wars droids and helmets and things like that. I pretty much print everything in black, and then most of the places I get my files from, it's just, they have it sectioned so that they fit the bamboo printers perfectly, and then you can just use like epoxy or E6000 and super glue to glue things together. You got to do Bondo and things like that to finish and close your seams and stuff like that. But If you're into 3D printing, you kind of have to like sanding. It's just like woodworking. So
Yeah.
And body
Have you-
filler work.
yeah.
Have you gotten any prints, any nerdy prints from Luke in the Garage?
Yeah. So Luke, I met Luke on Instagram. I don't even know what, like, he just started randomly messaging me because he saw some of the Star Wars and Marvel stuff that I made. And at first I was like, who is this crazy person? But Luke is actually like, I've met him in person several times. There was a Chicago maker meetup a few years ago that I went to, and he's actually, so I'll turn this into a long story, but like the little corner boxes that I'm printing now, I originally started making on my laser. So I have a glow forge, and my process was basically like draw these up in Procreate on my iPad, and then I'd turn them into vectors on Inkscape, and then I would cut them on the laser, and then I'd hand paint them all and then kind of glue them up, and they would kind of have a stacked effect. And the ones I was doing, and it's, for those that don't know what a corner box is, back in the day of old Marvel comics, there was a little rectangle box in the upper left-hand corner, and it would have like the issue number and the month and some other details, the stamp of the comics code and whatnot. And it would have a little drawing, a little picture of the hero from that comic. And the point of the corner box was, back in the day, there's like spinner racks that would have a bunch of comics that you'd kind of have to flip through, but you could only see like the top part of the comic without pulling the whole thing out. So they did this intentionally to have these cool corner boxes so that they would catch your eye and you'd see that, and that would cause you to be like, oh, let's look further, maybe I want to buy this. But they're kind of in demand, and I had one friend reach out and was like, could you make this on the laser? I made one for him, and then Luke saw that, I think, on Instagram or whatever, and was like, hey, I want one of those. So he's actually bought like 3 of those from me that I hand painted. And I tried to sell some on Etsy. They didn't really sell that well, but eventually, going back probably 6 months ago or so, he reached out and he's like, why don't you 3D print those? I was like, well, I guess I could. And he's like, it's not that hard. And I know Fusion a little bit, enough to be dangerous, you know? And I was like, I could probably figure this out. And it's, yeah, with the skills that I've kind of had already, it's really not that bad. I think anybody could do this, but for whatever reason, nobody really sells these corner boxes or has made them like this that I've seen, at least 3D print wise. But the AMS stuff makes it easy to print in multiple colors. So yeah, after Luke sent that, I did one, and then I did 2, and then I kind of got addicted, and now I've done 15, and then I did a bunch of like kind of knockoff Andor versions too, because again, love Star Wars. So with Andor season 2 that just came out and was awesome, I did a bunch, like basically I did one of every major character and kind of put like a famous quote that they said in the show in either season 1 or season 2. So
you're designing all of these by hand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, this is where it's like,
or some of it's like trace.
Yeah. So was it Chasing Amy? Was that the Kevin Smith movie?
Yeah. Are you wait.
Tracer? I feel like I'm kind of a tracer a little bit. I mean, some of these I can say I did draw on my own. So did you guys hear me all right still?
No, yeah, you're good.
Okay. So some of them I have drawn on my own, but like a lot of times, yeah, I will just take an image off the internet, pull it into Procreate, dial back the opacity, and then just kind of draw. I use an Apple Pencil and use their ink setting, and it is kind of like inking.
Yeah,
it's inking. That was his argument back in that movie, right?
It's inking.
I'm just inking.
So wait, somebody else draws those lines.
Yeah.
You draw the lines on top. Yeah, but it adds shade and dimension. Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm doing. And it's art. But so yeah, that's kind of step 1. And then again, Inkscape, I convert them over, and then I bring them into Fusion, and then there's a whole bunch of bringing the SVG file into Fusion and then extruding the different parts. And then from there, I take it into Bamboo Studio and use their software to colorize everything, because you can directly kind of, it's good, the paint bucket. It's pretty simple. And there's some, in Fusion, there's some things where I have to some of the guys are coming outside of the box. So you kind of have to model and do some cuts to get them to fit so that they're all flush. And then there's some like I have an X-Men version where the guys are kind of all stacked on top of each other and they kind of overlap. So I did a bunch of cuts on the back sides of those so that they will all fit perfectly snug. So it's easy to glue them together and everything. Some of them I probably don't even have to glue because they just pretty much snap right in. But yeah, it's addictive. I've done, like I said, I've done over 30 of these things at this point, I think, if you count both the Star Wars and the Andor ones. So
Okay,
I think this is I think this is a good segue to talk about Makers of St. Jude.
Yeah.
Since we're already talking about them.
Sure.
So if you guys think this sounds really cool, Grant's gonna tell you why it's even cooler.
Yeah, I'm doing a raffle. So of all the Marvel ones that I've made so far, I am doing a raffle it's winner take all. One winner gets all of them. And I started with 14 of them. And there's pictures on the link, which I'm sure you guys are probably going to link somewhere in the podcast or whatever. But there's a picture of my wall in my basement where I have them all hanging. Like I said, there's 14. It's $10. So every $10 donated is basically one raffle prize, one raffle entry. And there's, a whole array of heroes and villains. I've got Spider-Man, Daredevil. Actually, I've got 2 different Spider-Mans. There's a black suit and then your traditional costume. I've got 2 different Daredevils. I've got some villains like Kingpin, and Magneto, and I've got Punisher and Venom and Iron Man, Hulk. Like there's a whole bunch. And then I kind of had the idea after the fact, after I launched it, what if to kind of try to raise a little bit more money? What if we kind of treat this like a Kickstarter? So if for every $150 raised, I'm going to design, and add another one to the prize pack. And we hit 150 a few days ago. So I added US Agent, who was one of the characters that was in the new Thunderbolts movie. I thought that was appropriate. And there was a pretty cool US Agent corner box from back in the day. He's kind of like the red, white, and black Captain America villain from back in the day. So, but yeah, that's what we're raffling off. I think we're at $200 right now. So another 100 I'll have to draw. I've got one almost ready to rock though. So
awesome.
How long are you running the raffle for?
It is going to go through July 1st. I think the whole raffle the whole kind of spring fundraiser ends on the 4th of July. And I figured just to give a little leeway, we'll just end it on the 1st and draw a name that night. I'm sure a lot of people will be busy with other things on the 3rd and 4th, me included. But
yeah, we've got celebrating to do.
Yep. And I have a title. I have a title for this. I'm like a co-host, or
you're an ambassador of awesomeness.
I'm an ambassador of, yes, exactly. Yeah, Mike had reached out and asked me, and I was like, man, I have a lot going on. And he's like, well, it's kind of like a name only. You just got to kind of promote it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do that anyway. So sure, I'll do that. But yeah. And I can't remember if it was before the show or right when the show started, but like, yeah, I don't know how many people, because there's the list of the giveaways, but some of the giveaways are like, a surf prep or the Harvey bandsaw, which I think is over. But so there's some companies, but as far as makers, I think right now there's actually like more prizes than there are makers in it at the moment. So if you are listening and you are a maker, you should definitely sign up. I know last year I did a giveaway and it was the same thing. There were more prizes than makers that did it, and I won 2 things. So you've got not only a chance to raise money, then you'll probably raise more money than you would sell the item for. I know that was the case with me last year. But you've got a pretty good chance of winning some pretty awesome stuff. So
very cool prizes indeed.
Yeah. And like each thing seems like several hundreds of dollars. Like there's $300 gift cards in there, $250 gift cards. I mean, there's some pretty cool stuff that you can win. And again, like I got lucky and won a couple last year. So
heck yeah.
And last year was fun. Last year was the first year. I know you guys, I think you said you'd been doing this for 3 years. This is my second. And I honestly, I'm not burdened by memory. I don't even remember how I met Mike or if he reached out to me and asked me or how he found me. I don't even know, but I did it last year, and I did an X-Men piece. It was an X-Men cover, and I did on the laser. It was not a 3D print. I designed everything, cut them all out, and again, I had to figure out how to like stack them. And I did a full size. It was a big like 2 foot by 18-inch framed piece, and I've actually got pieces of it like right over there that my whole intent was I'm going to make 2. I'm going to make one for myself, and then I'm going to make the other one for the raffle. And you get into these things and you run out of time, so I only finished the one. And luckily, Eric from Bumbleshoots, he donated like, I want to say like $250 worth of, I think he donated $250, so he got 25 tickets and he won. So that's pretty cool. The guy that donated the most won the thing last year. But
that's awesome.
He occasionally sends me a picture of it. But yeah, there's Wolverine and the other guys are sitting off to the side in my shop, still cut and just ready to be painted. Just someday I'll get it done and hang it on my wall, so I have one too. But he's got the only one right now.
Nice.
Very nice. So you mentioned earlier that you have a printer from Elegoo, but I'm guessing most of the work that you're doing is FDM style. It's deposit.
Yep.
Okay. Because my only exposure to Elegoo is with their Mars line, which is years ago now. So they could be 5 planets ahead, and I haven't really kept up with it too much.
And
but
I bought the big printer at a weird time, probably because there is kind of this shift right now where Bamboo kind of broke the market, and now all these other companies are trying to catch up, and they're coming out with their version of the X1 Carbon or the P1S or whatever. But for the big size, they still haven't really. The one I bought was just a regular FDM, but it was, I think like, I remember, 16 or 18-inch build plate squared.
Wow.
I mean, it's big. And I
Yeah.
could print like, a full-size Star Wars helmet in one go. And I could print, there's a couple like the battle droid that I have that I'm in my upstairs, but my basement workshop, I've got my battle droid standing by my workbench. But his body piece, you have to section that into like 4 pieces on the P1P, but on that big printer, I printed it in one shot, and it's like 36 hours or something like that. But yeah, I don't know what happened, but I always had some kind of issues with that thing where it would like layer shift or something, and then somehow something got clogged, and now it's not only spaghetti, but the whole nozzle got the giant glob around it.
Oh yeah.
And around the wires, and now it pulled stuff loose, so now I can't even turn it on to heat up the thing to try and get the clog off there. And
So it's like a whole new hot end shopping spree.
Yeah, I mean, I got into 3D printing and like right after COVID. I didn't think I was ever gonna buy one, but like COVID hit, and we're all at home except for my wife, and then my brother's wife. They both worked for hospitals, and we were kind of like, well, maybe we could do something as far as like face shields or something like that. So we ordered like the cheapest Ender 3 printer for like $220 and started printing face shields. And we were giving them to the VA hospital and Mercy Hospital here in Iowa. And after like, I don't know, 6 weeks, they were like, we're good. We don't need any more. We're caught up. So then my brother and I were kind of like, now I guess we're just going to print toys. So that's, like start making Star Wars stuff.
No, it was D&D minis for me.
Yeah.
So very many D&D minis, and the subreddits that existed in, I don't know, this was like 2018, 2019 for printing teeny tiny thin layers and micro details, and the liquid printers hadn't really sort of hit the market in a way that was accessible to people yet. Like 3D Systems and some of the other big companies, they had it, right? And laser sinterings and stuff was out there, but getting an at-home liquid mini printer was just, it still is. It's just awesome. It is a toy manufacturing doodad.
Yeah. And I have a resin printer. I have a Mars too, but it's kind of like, I don't like the mess as much, I guess. So
yeah.
like that's the part where it's like, it's a little off-putting to me and a little bit more cumbersome. Whereas an FDM, you can just, and for the stuff that I do, yeah. If you're doing the miniatures and stuff, the resin printer, it's incredible. Like it's
Yeah, well, and then like my tables, I can tell my peers and friends to shout out to a website called Hero Forge. I don't know if you've ever played around on this
yeah,
website before,
yep,
but you can basically design a
anything.
miniature of
Yep.
your character, and now they offer color. But I'm a Warhammer nerd from like the early 90s also, and so like there's gobs of paint and brushes and stuff like that floating around in my corners of my shop. And so it was like, you know, painting up a mini for your friends that they can plop down on the table and add to the immersion. I mean, 3D printing just, I feel like it truly changed the way that people were approaching connecting with their peers and the people at the table also. Like, I
Yeah.
think it was really cool. Like, you used to be able to get minis, right? You
Yeah.
can go to your comic book store and get Raoul Parthas or Warhammer or, you know, Reaper stuff. But
I mean, kind of the same thing with like all the Star Wars stuff that I'm into, like the helmets and stuff. Like you could
yeah,
maybe buy a helmet and spend hundreds of dollars or whatever. There's somebody out there
Mhm.
that would, but now with printing, it's like you can get a file for a helmet for free off Thingiverse, or you know, the good designers will sell them for 15 to 30 bucks or whatever. And
Mhm.
Galactic Armory, I paid for their year subscription for 130 bucks or whatever it was. That was the best freaking money I ever spent for a Star Wars fan. Like
Yeah.
they've got like everything. You spend, if you pay for their year subscription, it's like if you pay month to month, you get like the current month plus the previous month. But if you pay for their year subscription, you get everything they've ever made. Everything. So it's like every single Star Wars helmet you could ever imagine, and every Star Wars blaster pretty much that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then
But
Droid Division is the other, the good one on Etsy that they, any robot that, and well, Michael Baddeley is the one that's crazy because like Droid Division, those things are awesome. They do the like this more of the stand-up droids, not your R2D2, but your stand-up dudes like the battle droids from the, you know, the prequel movies. And they've got the IG robot, and I've K2SO. I've kind of started sharing some videos of him. I'm printing him, and he's in my basement. He's like 7 feet tall. It's freaking incredible.
So cool.
I think I'm like at 17 or 18 rolls of filament on that dude.
Doesn't matter.
It's awesome. It's so cool. But like Michael Baddeley he has a Patreon, and it's literally $1 a month, and you get like every astromech droid. Like you just pay $1 and you could go download all the files and quit. I'm not recommending you do that. I've been subscribed. I've been paying $1 for like 3 years, but like you get like, you can make your own R2D2, you can make a BB-8, you can make the B2 emo droid from Andor, like any of those astromechs, they've got all of them, and it's $1. It's crazy. But they've got a huge Facebook group and everything too, and like the community there is like really awesome. And you can all the info in the world about how to make them move, how to hook up Xbox controllers to them, all the animatronics. Like it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I love that the communities, they just share it, you know, like that's the other thing, is that like there's no hidden recipe.
Yeah,
you know, like somebody on a Discord or somebody in a forum has discussed it at length, and then now that we're in the age of YouTube instead of forum posting, right, like there's a video where you can watch somebody just do it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And the community, I mean, you know, not just like, you know, the woodworking community, but just the Instagram, Discord, like all these different things. Like I've been a patron of Bob's I like to make stuff for years now, probably since like COVID, probably before COVID. But like I didn't even know what Discord was until I started following him. And like that community is worth its weight in gold. If you're into anything and you're trying to learn new things, like you hop on that Discord. If you want to know anything about lasers, CNC, 3D printing, animatronics, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, like anything, you hop on there and ask a question, and like minutes later, you've got people like jumping on there to like, I did animatronics for one of these droids that I made. I've made like 3 pit droids now from, you know, Star Wars, Phantom Menace, whatever. And they have animatronic files, but the guy that does the files, he's like, I don't do animatronics. He's like, other people take my files and they mod them and we make those mods available to you guys. But like, I don't know how to do any of the coding, any of that stuff. So you kind of have to figure it out a little bit on your own. And now, like, I know ChatGPT and Google Gemini or whatever they call it now kind of will do that for you to an extent. But there's still issues with that. But I had some problems where I was running into hiccups and like the code wouldn't work. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the code's fine, but it's probably just a wiring thing. And I don't understand amperage and electronics at all. That is not in my wheelhouse. Hop on there, ask questions. Immediately people are like, let's get this off in a side chat. And then I've got like 4 people in the side chat and they're like explaining this to me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying this. It's still not working. I wake up the next morning and this guy's like submitted like videos and he's like, I rewired it. This is what you need to do. he's posted like multiple videos of like the wiring of everything that I was trying to do, rewired it himself, told me the volts that I needed, like everything. It was just like, this is crazy. Like, for like free, these people, everybody just was like so helpful with this stuff. It's awesome.
I mean, it's like that in the community too. I've had people send me videos of like, you know, VCarve or, you know, laser settings, things like that. And it's awesome. I mean, to have any kind of community where you can just be like, I'm having an issue. And I've had to teach myself to not wait until I'm about to pull my hair out to reach out, because there's probably at least 5 people for each of my shop endeavors that knows a heck of a lot more than me, that can probably figure out what my problem is, and it's probably the easiest, tiniest, stupidest little setting or something that just needs to get changed. So instead of wasting like 4 hours trying to, you know, go crazy over this thing, I'm just like, hey, you available? And then it's like a phone call away, like, oh yeah, just do this. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, we all kind of, you know, we all start with very minimal knowledge, you know.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Nick Birchtold and he went to school for all this stuff.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's on a different.
Yeah, I met him at that Chicago Maker meetup that I went to when I first met Luke in person. And Dave was actually there. That Dave came from New York, 3D DIY Dave, and brought his 3D scanner. And Nick was like, "This is why I'm here." And he was like so like stoic and serious. And
well, that's Nick.
He had cut his hair like buzz cut, like totally short, and shaved, like trimmed his beard, because he was like, the scan's going to be way better if I don't have hair. And he was like, kind of like, he's like, you shouldn't wear a hat. And I was like, I always wear a hat. I'm going to wear a hat. He's like, it won't print as well. But like, Luke pulled me aside, and Nick had brought a mallet for the guy that hosted the event that day. One of his mallets that has like the braided, I've got one back there actually, but
the Tijuana tuck and roll.
Yes, like the tufted look to it, that looks like tufted leather, but it's wood. It's just insane. But when I saw that, I was like, what is, like, how did you do this? And I talked to him and I was like, how do you learn how to do this? He's like, I went to school. I'm an architect. I went to school. I was like, oh, you have a leg up. But aside from him, most of the rest of us, I mean, when I bought my laser, I didn't know anything about lasers. Like I'd never opened Inkscape in my life. I didn't know what a vector was. I didn't know probably what an SVG file was. No idea. Like, and I was one of those people that was on the fence too, of like, do I get a laser? Do I get a CNC? I kind of thought I was going to get a CNC at the time. But I had conversation with several people at Workbench. The first Workbench Con I went to, which was probably 3 or 4 years ago now. But I was talking with Nicole from When Geeks Craft, and she was like, what are you going to do with it? We kind of had this conversation for like half an hour and went back and forth. And she's like, maybe you should get a CNC. Well, maybe you should get a laser. And eventually she was like, you should probably just get a laser for like what you do. You should get a laser. So I ended up buying the Glowforge, and I did get some like inside information back at the time too, that like I bought it like a week before they upped their prices like by $1,000 on every machine. So there were some people at Workbench Con that were like, if you're going to do it now, because next week the price is going to go up. Like everybody apparently that worked with them had just found out that they were going to jack their prices up. So I got it just in time, and And again, I was thinking like, well, if I do some cool content, maybe I'll make some commission money. And I don't think I've ever had one commission sale on my affiliate. Like, they raise their prices, and I talked to other people, and they were like, my affiliate sales went completely down once they jacked their prices
Well,
up.
they were everywhere. I think that's an issue with companies that have, 60 affiliates within the same community of people. It's like, whose affiliate code are you going to use? I mean, probably your best friend or, somebody you are connected to the most. But it is a challenge if they spread it like that. So.
But yeah, Surf Prep, I've got an affiliate code with them now too, just like you guys. But I've had some sales from Surf Prep's affiliate code. That's been pretty cool. I don't know who they are, but that was cool. I don't have my Surf Prep. I just my brother was here tonight. I just loaned it to him because I'm about to be on vacation. So I was like, try it out. You should just buy one and use my link. Use my code.
Taking your wiggle sander for a ride? Is that what's going on?
He is.
It's a mighty fine machine.
But that's when I talked to Hannah when I was like, you gotta hook me up with one of these. I was like, there's a whole market here with these with any of this cosplay stuff, like the foam pads, sanding these helmets, like sanding sucks on this stuff. And with an orbital, you just jack it up. But like I've been making helmets and using that Surf Prep and doing my pit droids that have the round heads and everything. Like, oh my God, so much better. Like from the heart, totally honest, like so much better than anything I was using before.
I like that it sings to you when you plug it in and turn it on for the first time. Yep. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh man.
Okay, so we've printed helmets. We've done our corner boxes. I don't know what I just did. I hope the feed didn't just get destroyed.
No, you're fine.
Okay, sorry. Something changed on my desktop view, and so we're just gonna run with it. Like nothing ever happened. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine.
It's great.
Everything's fine. So you mentioned briefly about Marvel Thunderbolts. We don't need you to give a whole review, but would you suggest that people who just want to see a blockbuster movie with superheroes in it should go see that movie?
Yes. Have you seen it?
I have.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked it. I thought
I have opinions about it. I think it is a completely watchable movie, but I feel like the stakes in the movie are baloney.
I mean, I could see that, I suppose, but aren't the stakes in all of them kind of baloney? Like,
I kind of feel like like there are some direct Avengers movies involving Thanos and the universe splitting and things really being really, really bad where the stakes are terrible, but the franchise itself does suffer from the Titanic phenomenon, right? And that a lot of our characters are protected by plot armor.
Yeah.
There's a character who was not protected by plot armor in Thunderbolts. And we learned about that in the first 10 minutes also.
Yeah. But I mean, I say I'm a total Star Wars nerd. I'm going to kick it back to this. But like after watching Andor, I'm like, I'm going to struggle to find value in any of these things after watching Andor. Like Andor is the best damn thing that any of these people have put out in years. Like
that was my stance on Rogue One. Other than wasting Donnie Yen as an actor, Rogue One is maybe one of the best Star Wars movies. And I don't know if it's because it doesn't deal with the saga of the Skywalker family, but
yeah, it is. And they made it better now. Like it's better now after this show. And like, talk about plot armor, but like that we know that Cassian Andor, he's in Rogue One. He lives. But the amount of tension that they can build in that show, they're just Tony Gilroy. Make him do a Marvel movie. That'd be fantastic.
There you go. I'm in. Yeah. Jesse, you're getting real quiet because we're going down some wonderfully nerdy rabbit holes. You are fulfilling your own prophecy.
From like fiddling my thumbs, but
Sorry, I'll bring it back. We'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back. We do need to discuss a couple of other things, like I I want to talk a little bit about laser work. And I know that it's not really at the forefront of what you've been doing or what you're doing with St. Jude, but tell us a little bit about some projects that you've done with the laser that you didn't realize you could use a laser for.
Um, well, outside of the corner box stuff, I'm trying to think. Okay, so I have done a if you've seen some of my reels and some of my YouTube videos, I have a Harry Potter bedroom that I did for my boys. It has been a very long project, but like we're trying to make it look like it came out of Hogwarts. So we started with painting the walls to look like stone. We did a storm cloud ceiling. That's been a pretty good YouTube video, and that's actually like that's probably why I have followers on Facebook, because a bunch of people like thought I was skim coating my ceiling or something and didn't understand and called me an effing idiot a lot on Facebook. But all those comments really boosted me up quite a bit, so that was nice. But yeah, it's like the you do the what is it, the pillow fluff stuff, polyfill, whatever it is. You spray adhesive, you put a LED strip lights up, and then you spray, and then you put all that up, and then you can do the effects and make it look like lightning and everything. It looks really cool. A lot of people have told me I'm going to burn my house down too, but we're
What,
over
with
2 years
Philips
in and we're
Hue
still
strip
good.
lights?
Yeah.
Oh,
Plus the dust and the spiders. I get comments about the dust and
yeah.
the spiders all the time, and I'm like, again, 2 years. I've never
Stormy
seen
night discos is exactly when the spiders come out. So like that makes sense.
I've never seen a spider in that bedroom. But they had a walk-in closet as well. So I was like, what if we do like a hidden room and we do like a Murphy door? So that's when I got into some woodworking, and I thought about buying one, but then I was like, nope, we're doing the whole thing. So I watched, YouTube and watched Bob's video and some other videos on making a secret room, making a secret door, modeled it in Fusion, figured out how to do all that, and then modeled like the door frame and everything and made sure that it was going to actually open. And then for basically the decoration, I put up trim boards all the way around, but then I was like, let's really Harry Potter this up, and did all kinds of designs and little cutouts in really thin plywood and cut everything out on the laser, and then just basically glued and covered the whole thing. So it's got like every single character's wand from the movies in various places. And then there's like, little envelope, little owls, cats, Ron's rat, the Dementors there. I mean, anything I could incorporate from Harry Potter is like all over the front of that door. And then we did like a secret book latch, but like it's pretty heavy, and I had a buddy of mine come help when we were actually finally putting it in. And you want to talk about like praying that things were going to work out when you're trying to install a door like that. And like the hinges were off by like maybe a 16th, and we had to kind of like tap the hinges up a little bit to get it to fit. We got it in there, and when we, moment of truth, like closed it, I mean, it like, we're talking less than 1/8 of an inch clearance that thing had. I've never been prouder of myself in my life, to be honest. Like I was like, I could not believe it worked. I could not believe it shut. And when I put the trim on, like if you are like when it's closed, if you just kind of pan over and walk across, you really cannot tell that there's a seam where a door would open. Like the seam for the door is the exact same size as the seam for the trim on the other side. Like, again, I'm patting myself on the back, but I just couldn't believe it worked. But using the laser for all that stuff, like it really made it look, it's really neat. And I did a YouTube video, and I probably didn't even do it justice, because you got to make things fast and people click away so fast. But like if you really take the time to look at it and all the different ones, and I put a lot of thought into like what ones needed to be grouped together and who needed to be next to who and what creatures needed to be next to what wand. Like I probably overthought that a lot, but it looks pretty cool in my opinion. And the kids love it. Like they have a blast.
I can geek out on Harry Potter with you, because that's
We're big Harry Potter fans too. We went to Universal just last December and loved it. You want to get inspired, my God, go to that place.
Yeah, it's awesome. We did Tokyo Disney and Universal Studios Osaka.
Oh man.
And we saw the Lizarding Load of Harry Potter, which is Japanese actors Englishing their way through a bunch of Harry Potter stuff, and it's majestic. Lon Reesley is my favorite. Like, I think he's just. I mean, I like Ron Weasley fine, but Lon Reesley is this is one of the best parts.
I really like. I mean, when we were there, I took so many photos and everything because I was thinking, when I get home, I'm going to make a bunch of this stuff, and I haven't ever. I'm not one of those people that is like running out of ideas to do things. My list of ideas is way too long. But like the amount of time and effort that they put into that place, into like Hogsmeade, and then the Diagon Alley thing is insane. Like,
the wand selecting ritual, like where they bring in just a little troop of like 15 kids, and like they've got a wonderful actor.
Yep.
Doing all of that. That was amazing.
It was incredible. Like there was literally like nothing about, and the Hagrid ride, holy cow. That's like one of the coolest rides I've ever been on. We had to wait in line for a long time, and just as an aside, if you ever go to Universal, just stay in the Universal Resort because they automatically give you the fast pass and they give you the free boat ride to and from, which takes like we didn't have to wait in line for that boat at all. Like people said that there might be a line in the morning. There was not. But like that fast pass, oh my God. You go up and there's like 60-minute wait and we're in like 5. You're blowing by people and I'm like looking at my kids. I'm like, don't make eye contact. Don't look at those. Don't look at them. Don't look at them. Just
look at the plebeians.
Straight ahead. Just go through. They're going to be angry. But it was great. Like we got to ride so much more stuff because we did not wait in line for hardly anything. Hagrid's ride was the only thing that they would not let you use the fast pass on, and that was the last ride that we rode that day.
I was so bummed. Like when I went to Universal, it was 10 years ago, and I was 6 months pregnant with my son, so I couldn't go on any rides. And I had my daughter there, and she was like a year old, and so I became like the bag mom. So every time we get to a ride, everyone would just like hang their purses and their jackets and their whatever on the stroller, and I was just standing there. I was like so pissed the whole time. It was so like, and Harry Potter was like the one thing that I was like, okay, this is cool. I can do, some of the things here. There's lots of places to go into and things to see, but yeah, I want to go back when I can actually experience.
So my wife and I split that because she can't ride the virtual, like the VR type rides. They make her sick and she will throw up, but she will do any roller coaster. And I'm not the keenest on all the roller coasters. I'll do them if I have to, like if my kid, but I've got one kid that will ride anything. And the other kid's like, if it goes upside down, I'm not riding it. So she would ride the roller coaster, the crazy coasters with one kid, and I'd sit back. But then if we had to do a VR thing, she would hold the bags and sit back. So split duties, but I did want to do the Velocicoaster pretty bad, and I did not get to do that. But next time, I want to go back.
Next time,
there
will be a next time
for sure. And I mean, we like Harry Potter too much, and again, I still want to finish that room. I still have a list of things that I want to do to have that done, and they're getting to the age where they're probably going to be like, dude, like, can you just paint the walls back to a normal color and get rid of this cloud stuff because we're going to be made fun of. But then I'll just move into the room and they can have my room. I'll take it.
It works. That works. So we are at about minute 48 of the show. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about during this episode that you did not get a chance to talk about?
Well, I mentioned my brother briefly earlier. I told him I was going to talk about, I usually end up talking about his stuff anyway. My brother runs a haunt called Zombie Hollow. If you happen to listen to this and you're in Iowa, you should come check it out. It's in Winterset. It's like southwest of Des Moines by like 30 miles. But that's kind of the reason I get to make all this Star Wars crap, because it's my excuse, because I can just put it at his place. He has this haunted house. It's more of a haunted trail. It's like an outdoor thing. It's kid friendly. It's like the only haunted house that you have around here, or probably anywhere. That's, most of the haunted house, especially St. Louis, like you were talking about St. Louis. Yeah. We were down there for the Trans World Festival years ago. And I think he went this year with his wife, but I went with him 2 years ago. And what's the big haunted house down there? Yes. They
It's
had a
across
big
the street from my brewery. Yeah.
They had a big thing during the Trans World thing that you could pay and you get the full tour, and you could get the full tour with the lights on, and they'd walk you through how they do stuff and everything. But it's like $250 or something to get that full tour, so we didn't do it. But yeah, my brother does his whole thing is more like Disney's Haunted Mansion. It's like a what's his slogan? Halloween magic for all ages. It's kind of what we came up with.
That's a good
So,
pitch.
yeah, and he gets kids go through there, and like I take all my, like now I'm up to, so I've got 3 pit droids, I've got 2 battle droids, now I have a K2, and then my brother has a full size like 7-foot tall IG droid, and then I have I made myself a full cosplay set of armor of Captain Enoch from the Ahsoka show, and I stand there in costume with a helmet on and sweat like crazy, even though it's cold in October in Iowa. But it's fun to kind of, we don't jump, nobody chases anybody with a chainsaw, and we don't jump at people, but like we have fun with people, and we kind of mess with people, especially if there's teenagers, we mess with them. But the kids, we'll be nice to the kids and wave at them and let them hold the lightsaber and get their pictures taken with the droids. And my droids that I've made and that we have move, like kids freak out when they see the droids moving and their eyes light up and stuff. And but like I get to go help him. He's got there's like a pirate area, there's a ghost graveyard, there's an old west town. Like he's kind of like the Energizer Bunny. He's got way more energy than I do, but it's fun to have like this other creative outlet that's kind of outside of woodworking, but like we can make anything we want and manage to just somehow stick it into this crazy haunt thing that he's made.
Hey, look, with a good CPA, anything's possible, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first year, I know he lost money the first year because he had to spend like, again, it covers 2 acres. But it's like we put up fencing everywhere, and like you have to wind people around so that it seems way longer but it ends up being like a 1/4 mile hike. So it's if you take your time and look at everything, you can spend 20 to 30 minutes easily. If you power walk through it, yeah, you're going to be done in 5 minutes, but most people will take their time. Sometimes there's kids that act freaked out and they sprint through the thing, and we're like, slow down. We don't really let you walk through again for free. But it's super cool, super fun thing. Zombie Hollow or the Zombie Hollow, maybe on Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff. But you see me on there all the time, and I actually kind of run his website and help run his social media and stuff like that. He does his social media posts now, but my other side hustle, because I need another one. But
well, I mean, can you imagine how boring it would be without him?
Yeah, I know. That's what people talk about, like shows and stuff. And I'm like, I don't really. That's it. I get the question, like, how do you have time for all this? And I'm like, I don't watch TV, really. Like, I watch Star Wars and Marvel, but other than Star Wars and Marvel, it's pretty much like I don't know. I mean, I guess Stranger Things. There's certain things that I watch that are tentpole things that I have to, but most of the other stuff, I'm like, I don't. And even like sports, I'm a sports fan. I'm the person that is the nerd and does like sports. But anymore, it's like background noise. I'll turn the game on, but I will be, designing stuff on the iPad or designing stuff on the laptop, or I've got a big TV out here in my shop, and I'll have it on just to have the game on in the background while I work on whatever. But my days of like sitting down and watching a 3-hour football game, I don't really do that anymore. So you have to find the time for the stuff that you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh man, this was such a good one. This was such a good one. We need to take another quick lap through sponsors. Hannah already kind of got another shout out in the team over at Surf Prep,
Yeah,
but let's talk for just 30 more seconds about how not only do they have foam backed abrasives with hook and loop on it to integrate into your other sanding systems, but they also have the foam spacers if you're just putting, for whatever reason, you choose other people's abrasives instead of Surf Prep, fine, you do you. But they do have foam spacers that you can get that will also help you get into the contours on your pieces. You can find that stuff at surfprep.com. Please use coupon code Sawdust Talk, or Grant, go ahead, give them your code. Let's see who they like the best.
Code Dadcrafted.
There you go. If you want Sawdust Talk merch, let's say you really really need a Sawdust Talk oven mitt. I don't know if it's on kcbombshell.com, but if it isn't, I'm making a phone call this evening, and I'm going to make sure that we can get you a Sawdust Talk oven mitt, just so that when you pull that lasagna out of the oven, your little piggies are protected by the power of Jessie and TJ. That's right. Sawdust Talk oven mitts. Probably not coming soon, but if they did exist, you could get them at kcbombshell.com. We've got a Patreon. $5 a month really helps us, believe it or not. So love it if you join. And then one more lap through Makers for St. Jude. Makers for St. Jude is important to everybody that's on this episode. It's important to the people who are receiving the benefits and the proceeds from your auctions. Those are examples of the corner boxes, and they are absolutely lovely.
So cool.
Oh, that's so dope. I got distracted. Ooh, shiny.
Sorry.
Get a hold of Mike, get a hold of me, get a hold of Jessie. We will help you click your way through and put descriptions in for a raffle. If you participate in the raffle during the month of June or July, you will be entered into a drawing for truly lucrative prizes.
Can I say one thing real quick too?
Do, yeah.
Just as the ambassador or as the person that did it last year, like, it is so easy to do a raffle. Like, they give you a URL, all you have to do is create a login basically, but like, you don't handle, like, I don't handle any of the money. I don't have to worry about like, oh, now I've got all these people donating to me and I've got to hand it off. Like, they click donate, it goes directly to St. Jude. You don't have to deal with any of that. You get a nice little dashboard that shows you who donated and how much, and like, for you to figure out all that stuff, it's the easiest thing in the world. So like, if anybody's kind of worried, like, I don't want to deal with all that, like, they've made it super simple. So don't be afraid of that. Just go for it.
Spinning the wheel of names, we can help you fill out the spreadsheet, and we can do all that stuff with you, for you, instead of you, alongside you. I will hold your hand virtually. If you're in St. Louis, I will hold your hand in person. But we will make sure that if you want to participate, we will make it as easy for you as humanly possible, because we care about the cause. It's important to all of us. That does bring us to the final question, which is every week we ask our guests to come up with like a motivational thought or a quote or something maybe that just gets you excited to get out of bed, or to get our listeners excited to open the door to their workshop and make a big mess or pick up a tool or just generally get awesome. What would you like to share with the class?
I thought of a few, but I always go back to, again, my brother and I favorite big Disney fans, big Walt Disney fans, and I'm gonna get this wrong, but there is a famous Walt Disney quote about the best way to get started is to stop talking and start doing. It's kind of like our mantra, and kind of weird because like in my real life, I'm more of a project management type person, and we do a whole bunch of planning, and I even do a bunch of planning with my dad crasses stuff. But like, again, back to that thought earlier, like, a lot of times we don't know what we're doing. Like, you just kind of have to dig in and figure it out as you go. And just like, I just need to know how to get this one thing to work. And as long as you dig in and do it, you'll figure out the next thing, or you'll get help from the community. You'll ask people and they'll help you. So like, that's kind of what we live by, is like, just get started and you'll figure it out as you go.
Wonderful.
Love it.
Well, Grant, thank you again for taking the time to chat with us tonight. That was a great chat.
You bet.
And
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
to our listeners, this has been episode 158 of Sawdust Talk, and TJ is going to take us out.
We'll see you guys all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.